All right. If there's anything that I can give you, an actual sheet of paper that will help you plan your essay, this is the sheet of paper, and it is already posted under essay writing skills or essay writing tips, and I believe it is called Outline for Research Paper or Planning Your Research Paper. And so what you want to do is fill in each of these lines. If you can have something written on each of these lines when you go to start writing out your own paper in longhand through the typing or through the kind of however you write your paper, this sheet is going to be the most helpful thing I can give you. So the first thing you want to do for your introduction, and again, a lot of people are very nervous about an introduction because an introduction to an essay can be very daunting, and I confess this to you so that you know you're not the only one, I often sit and stare at a blank page for over an hour or over 2 hours while I'm trying to get my first line. For me, getting the first line is the most difficult thing. But hopefully for you it won't be that challenging. Certainly here, this formal approach will be an easy way to start an introduction, and it will also be valid in this class and in all future classes at Bow Valley. This is a very effective way to start a paper. So the first thing you want to do is give your opinion. And that could be as simple as saying, I believe that. Start with what you believe. Tell me what you think first, because your opinion is the most important opinion in the entire paper as far as I'm concerned, and as far as you're concerned too, I'm sure. Following that, give the opposing view. So I believe X. Many people believe Y, and this is, I mean, you can see how this might be used very easily even in that first essay question. I believe that it is never right to lie to a patient. I believe that honesty is the most important thing in a medical relationship between a patient and a nurse. Other people believe that, and then you go on to say, other people believe that lying is okay, or that there are circumstances which allow you to lie. This, what it does is sets up the dialogue that's happening around the topic itself. So we get your opinion, we get other people's opinion, and then here we move on to the belief of the primary source. So if you're doing this, looking at Sisselbach's article, you can say, because I think we've talked a little bit about this on the discussion boards, Sisselbach suggests that it's not great to lie, but she also says there are some situations where it might be a good idea. She doesn't really give a firm answer. And so to the belief of the primary source for Sisselbach, you might say Sisselbach offers both opinions, or considers both approaches to the medical profession. And that's totally fine. And then last, but of course most important, and always the last sentence in your introduction is your thesis statement. These come in order, and so your thesis statement is always the last statement in your introductory sentence, and that needs to be an argument that lists, here I say 3 points, but it can be 2, 3, 4. Usually 2, 3, or 4 is a good idea. For 3 pages and 1,000 words, more than 3 points is not really going to work, because remember, you have to break it down. Each paragraph is about a page, or about a half a page to about a page, in and around there. That's roughly how long a paragraph should be, at least a half a page. And so to have 4 points plus an intro plus a conclusion becomes a very quick and tight paper where you only have just a half a page to type. And so you want to give yourself a little bit more freedom. So between 2 and 4 points. From there, and this is kind of continuing, and again, it is posted, so you print it out. I strongly encourage you. First point, so again, your thesis statement will list 3 points, and so they break down. Body, paragraph number 1, point 1, tell me what your argument is. So state your argument, and again, it's been stated in your thesis statement. And then here, your evidence, the quotations. And remember, there is no maximum or minimum quotations here. You need to use secondary sources, so I suppose there is a minimum. You need to have at least 3 quotations, because you need at least 1 quote from your primary source, and then you need a quote from each of your 2 secondary sources. So here, you might have 1 quotation, you might have 2, but a piece of evidence from some source that is not your own brain that pertains to this argument. And so you can see here, if you have this organized so that you have your argument and then you have your evidence, it becomes really easy to write your paragraph. You can see here we've already got 4 or 5 sentences. Well, a paragraph is not much longer than that. So if you have this already planned out, you can see how easy it would be to write your paper. And this would make up your first body paragraph. Both your argument and your evidence together make up a body paragraph. And you can see exact same thing happens for point number 2 and for point number 3. So the best thing I can suggest for you to do, make sure that you have a thesis statement with whatever number of points you want to discuss, and then break down each point into what your argument is and what your evidence for that argument is. And then, of course, here you take a look, the conclusion. What you really want to do in a conclusion is just pull together all of your ideas, quickly restate each of your topics, so rename each of your paragraphs and just remind me of what those points were, and then conclude by offering up kind of summarizing sentences that remind us why it is that your paper is very important. In the next video, I will discuss this very brief example, which hopefully will make it clear to you how to organize a thesis.